Hi class, and welcome to another video lesson. Today we are on 9.1 notes on day 2. What we're talking about today is we're dividing rational expressions. So you just watched a video on multiplying rational expressions. Now what a rational expression is it's just a fraction. So when you learn how to divide fractions, let's bring you back to the 5th grade. When you had 3/10, and when you divided it by, let's say, a number like 6/5, hopefully your teacher said when you divide, it's the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So you'd multiply by the 5 goes to the numerator and the 6 goes to the denominator. Now you can cross cancel to get 1 and 2 and cross cancel to get 1 and 2. So your answer is 1 times 1, which is 1, and 2 times 2, which is 4. Your answer being 1/4. And you can easily check that in your calculator as well. Our rationale is going to be the same when we divide fractions. We have a fraction on the left divided by a fraction on the right. And when we multiply these, as messy as these fractions look, as we divide these, it's the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So why don't you guys write that down in your notes. You now have 10ps squared over 3c squared d. It's now multiplied by the 6c squared d goes to the numerator, and the 5ps goes to the denominator. Now once you have that set up, now you can just cross reduce until you can't do that anymore, and then you simply multiply straight across. So we have 10/5 reduces to 2 over 1. 6/3 again reduces to 2 over 1. Now let's do some of our letters. P on the top left, P on the bottom right, those reduce. S squared divided by S makes S to the first in the numerator. C squared divided by C squared, those cancel completely, and the same thing with D divided by D. So what do we have left on top? We have 2 times 2, which gives us a 4. And the only letters we have on top is this S. So we have 4s. In the bottom, we just have 1 times 1, which is 1. So we have a denominator of 1. So that means we don't even have to write it. Our answer is 4s. Class, that's the lesson for today. So if you want to, you can pause the video, try the rest of them on your own, see how well you come up, and then maybe you could just fast forward through some of the work that I go through and see if you could check your answers and make sure that they're all the exact same as mine when you're all done. So this one, another way of writing a fraction. It's the same way as having this be the fraction on the left divided by this fraction on the right. So as you can see, that's what I have under this green box right here. The 3r squared s cubed divided by 5t to the 4th is the one on the left, and the 9r cubed s divided by 20t squared is the number on the right. So that's just different kind of notation. So now that we have that, it's the same thing as multiplying, multiplying by the reciprocal. So write down 3r squared s cubed again, divided by 5t to the 4th, multiplied by the 20t squared goes in the numerator, and the 9r cubed s goes in the denominator. All right, let's reduce. 3/9 is 1/3. 5 and 20 reduces to 4 over 1. R squared and R cubed makes an R to the first and the bottom. S cubed divided by S makes an S squared in the numerator. This can get kind of messy, so make sure you follow your work very closely. T squared over T to the 4th makes a T squared in the denominator. So in the numerator, you have 4S squared. And in the denominator, you have 3, going in alphabetical order, Q, R, S, T. So R comes first, and then the T squared comes second. I'm going to take some time to look at my notes to make sure I teach you this right as I go through, so it might take just a little bit longer to make sure I check my work. 4S squared over 3RT squared. That should be the answer for number 2. Number 3, multiplying by the reciprocal. Class, here's a great tip for you. Whenever you see a trinomial, especially in this chapter, whenever you see a trinomial, you got to think factor. So make 2 different parentheses almost whenever you see a trinomial. 4p times 4p is 16p squared. A negative 1 and a negative 1. That would give us a negative 8p in the middle. This one. Now what I'm going to do here, class, might be cheating a little bit, but it's a good tip for you. I know that my skill in this lesson is somehow canceling with a common factor. So somehow I think I'm probably supposed to get a 4p minus 1 in the denominator, because obviously something is going to cancel here. So if I just start off with 4p times 1p, now let's just say if I have a minus 1 right here. I need to get a negative 2, so I'm going to have a positive 2 over here. Let's see if that works. Here's a positive 8p minus 1p is our 7p. So you see how I kind of use this one right here to kind of set up my foiling down there? My factoring rather, sorry. Hopefully that could be a little tip that you can use as you go forward in this lesson. Now let's cancel. Cancel is probably the wrong word. Let's reduce. 4p minus 1 and 4p minus 1. 7 and 14 makes a half. And then p to the 5th and p to the 4th makes 1p in the numerator. So what do we have? We have this p and this 4p minus 1. P times the quantity. 4p minus 1. All of that is divided by this 2 times p plus 2. 2 times p plus 2. Your answer for problem number 3. P times 4p minus 1 divided by 2 times the quantity p plus 2. On to number 4. We're going to multiply by the reciprocal. And then whenever you see a trinomial, you're going to try to factor it. So form two different parentheses. D multiplied by D. A positive 2 and a positive 1. Here you have another trinomial. D times D. A positive 2 and a minus 1. Right here, hopefully you see that a GCF can be taken out. That greatest common factor is 2. 2 times the quantity, D plus 3. Now that you have everything broken down to their factors, let's see what reduces. D plus 3, D plus 3, D plus 2, D plus 2, and that is it. You can't reduce D plus 1 and D minus 1. They are different factors. So we leave our answer as 2 times the quantity, D plus 1. That goes in the numerator, and in the denominator, we have D minus 1. So there is our answer for problem number 4. Number 5 I get a kick out of. This one's a lot of fun, in my opinion. We're going to somehow cancel common factors after we reduce and stuff like that. So we can't do anything with this one. We can't do anything with this one. We're going to multiply by the reciprocal. Now the first thing I'm going to do with the numerator here is I'm going to make this k squared positive. What I'm saying there is I'm going to take out a negative 1, and now you're left with a positive k squared and a negative 1. This turns positive, this turns negative. Now this part right here can be factored. It is the difference of two squares. So that's going to be k minus 1 times k plus 1. And then this trinomial, let's factor this sucker. We're going to have k multiplied by k with a negative 3 and a negative 1. All right, let's do some magic. K minus 3, gone. K plus 1, done, son. K minus 1, reduce. So what do we have left? We have this negative sign right here. And what that means, class, like when these canceled, they reduce to just ones, 1, 1. So what we have is a negative 1 in the numerator, and we have a positive 1 in the denominator. So we don't even have to write it down. This whole bunch of garbage right here turned into a negative 1. Ridiculous, right? That's good stuff. Our answer for problem number 5 is a whopping negative 1. Last one, number 6. We have this garbage right here. Let's put this part right here on the left, and let's put this part on the right. So we're going to have 2m minus 1 divided by m squared minus 3m minus 10. Now let's multiply by the reciprocal. So my denominator right here is going to move to the numerator, which is 4m plus 8. And my numerator right here is going to move to the denominator, which is 4m squared minus 1. All right, let's factor. Top left is already factored as far as it'll go. Bottom left, let's form two different parentheses. M multiplied by m with a minus 5 and a plus 2. Top right, I can't factor, but I can take out a GCF. 4 times the quantity, m plus 2. Bottom right, hopefully you recognize this as the difference of two squares, so you can have two different binomials. It's 2m multiplied by 2m and a minus 1 with a plus 1. All right, let's reduce. 2m minus 1, 2m minus 1. M plus 2, m plus 2. And that's all we have. So we're left with a 4 in the numerator. And we are left with two binomials, one of them being m minus 5, and the other one being 2m plus 1. 4 divided by m minus 5 times 2m plus 1. So the moral of the story is, class, when you divide with rational expressions, it's the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. If you were an expert on yesterday's lesson, you are an expert on today's lesson. You have one objective on that and a few problems on a worksheet. If you struggled with yesterday's lesson, hopefully today's lesson even made more sense because it was just more practice of the same kind of problem. Let me know if you have any questions on that when you get to class tomorrow.